Well, ladies and gentlemen, I come before you today with a very serious topic. I have been vandalized. My intellectual property, my brain, has been ripped off. A very large and prominent YouTuber that goes by the name The Critical Drinker, if that is even your real name, had stolen an idea of mine and does it so flagrantly and so brazenly. Oh, I can't even talk about it. It's triggering me so much. Now, what am I talking about? What am I talking about? Well, let me show you the crime. This April 9th, 1:32 p.m. Somehow Ray Palpatine returned. Let's take a look at his violation. Look at that thumbnail. Look at that title. Somehow Ray Palpatine returned. And then bam! 1 day ago. Look at that. I used the same thumbnail and said somehow Palpatine returned. Critical Drinker, why are you stealing from me? You have you have 100,000 more views than I do. Percentage, like in terms of like multiplier. Um, no, I'm just kidding. He didn't. Well, I don't know. This is a perfect thumbnail. I have to say, I found this before him. Um, I don't. That's just rather odd. I came up with this like a day ago. Somehow, Palpatine has returned. I thought that was perfect, and then apparently the drinker thought it was perfect too. I don't know where he came up with this, but it's just a goddamn coincidence. And no, I love the drinker. He's great. It just it's not every day that I have an idea that's good enough that somebody else comes up with it and uses it for their video. So, before we get any further into the main topic of today's video, which is actually going to be The Mandalorian and the unbelievably steep decline of that particular franchise, let me remind you once again that I have a Rumble, and I would very much appreciate it if you guys would go and subscribe to me on Rumble. And here's the thing: my vision for the future is to build up this platform to get as many of you to subscribe here as I can, because what that allows me to do is make content specifically for this. Now, there are some things that I can't say on YouTube. There are some words, there's some ideas I just can't express because they will strike me down faster than you could possibly imagine. And unlike Obi-Wan Kenobi, I will not come back more powerful than you can possibly imagine. I will just be gone. Unless I have an alternative that I've built up. So every video I'm going to remind you guys, it's free. I wouldn't be asking if it cost you guys any money. You can create an account, subscribe to the Fan Advocacy Network. It definitely will help. And we're going to build something special here. We're going to build a rocket ship to the fucking moon. So there has been a lot of talk about the declining quality of The Mandalorian in Season 3, but really in the book of Boba Fett. After Season 2, people left on a high, and now we're starting to see the cracks a little bit, and this is what happens when Disney has something that has worked, but like anything else that they touch, they want to inject their woke ideology into it. The people that work there can't help themselves. So, there's no reason why Lizzo should ever be in a Mandalorian episode, a Star Wars movie, anything. Unless she's playing Jabba the Hutt's sister, there's no reason Lizzo should be in anything Star Wars. Jack Black, you could argue in the right light, could be interesting. Like if he were some like grizzled mechanic that, didn't really get many lines, and he did sort of a cameo because it was sort of like, he was helping a Jedi or something, and, as a background cameo, sure, but not like this. Certainly not like this. And this, oh, God. It just, oh, God, it's so terrible. It's so terrible. I mean, she looks like Jabba the Hutt. Wookie. I mean, just look at that. That is, why? Why would you do that? It's like, what's weird to me is, the thing is, if my show were doing poorly, if there were certain things like, oh, viewership is down, I'd be like, okay, how can we get the numbers back up? Do you really think that it's this? Do you really think this is what's going to bring it in? No, no, absolutely not. So this episode was atrocious. I mean, sure, there were moments in it, but just because there's a couple flakes of gold in a piece of shit, it doesn't mean that the piece of shit is somehow valuable. And it actually gets us into what I think is the main problem, which is that Din Djarin has been replaced as the Mandalorian. It's not just me saying this. People have noticed. And now the Mandalorian is Bo-Katan. And let me just say, I have no problem with Bo-Katan as a character. I thought she was great. She was great in, what was it? Wasn't Rebels, was it? No, it was Clone Wars. In Clone Wars, she was great. I thought her character was fine. But you started off the story with Din Djarin being the Mandalorian. Now, if you really wanted to do this, you could have killed off Din Djarin in a big battle at the beginning of season 3. The Din Djarin gets killed, and Bo-Katan takes the Darksaber, and continues the mission of raising Grogu. If that's what you wanted to do. There are ways to make that work. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but there are ways to do it. But to have Din Djarin basically become a background character, have him become a bitch, I mean, look at this. She should be back there doing whatever the fuck she's doing. Like the droid. She doesn't matter. Because it's his story, and it's his story. That's what people tune in for. But look at this. You can see the way that this picture is laid out. It's so perfect. This is what they want. Because they are under the delusion that having a woman in the lead is somehow better for the story, better for the advertisers. It's not. Because what advertisers want more than anything else, they may say they want, virtue bullshit. They want eyeballs. They want people to watch. And they want sustainability long term. That's not what she represents. If you are replacing him, there are ways to do it to maximize the show's potential, to maximize, the customer's interest. But what you're doing here is you are trying to basically have her take over, but without just, pulling the trigger. No pun intended. But it's not going to work. In combination with doing things, well, first of all, like this. This is disgusting. I mean, this is haram. No, we do not do that. And then this is definitely haram. You just don't do it. There's no reason for it. Why would you? What? Yeah, there's no reason. Yeah, and then this picture right here. It's worth 1,000 words. You get a bunch of these fat, I mean, how else do you want me to say it? Fat, gross, dykish looking lesbians who come onto these projects and say, well, we're gonna empower women. Just you've heard the same stuff before. These ugly, stupid, entitled, just pompous people who in high school were probably the ones making fun of real Star Wars fans for liking Star Wars, and now they're getting a job, attempting to ruin it. But honestly, I could think of no more egregious thing to do than to remove Din Djarin from his own story, because he is the Mandalorian. But what we're going to watch now is we're going to watch a reaction from Tyrone Magnus about this. It's called Din Djarin is no longer the Mandalorian, and I think that Tyrone does a good job of talking about this and laying this out. So, without further ado,
Well, boy. Seems as if our fears have been confirmed. The Mandalorian producer, no, it says Mandalorian producer, same thing, confirms Din Djarin is no longer the only main character. See, the only issue with this is that we tune in to watch Din and Baby Yoda.
you tell him, brother.
So now they're changing things, and we clearly saw it. It was like, wait, what's going on here? Why does he feel like he's becoming a side character? Mm-hmm. And if this is the case, why are they doing that? I said this in my last review.
Why are they doing that? Well, I can answer that. It's because the women who work on The Mandalorian all look like this and this. Fat, obnoxious, weirdo, untalented feminist parasites. And then soy boy, odd bearded beta males who don't know how to tell women the word no. Because there is no universe where the things that we see in shows like this or the Disney movies should be allowed to exist. And honestly, if Bob Iger were a leader and if he were a man, he would have fired pretty much everyone already. Because the damage that has been done to the Star Wars franchise, if Tyrone Magnus, look, nothing against Tyrone Magnus, but he is what I would consider to be a pretty mainstream fan. I don't see Tyrone Magnus putting in like yellow contacts and dressing up like, well, actually maybe, I don't know, he dress up like a Sith and go to a convention. Yeah, maybe he's like on the line of doing that for for content, which I totally respect. But you don't see this guy waiting in line, at a local theater with a fake lightsaber in hand. Like, oh my God, you know what I mean. He seems like a fairly regular fan. He's passionate. He's like, oh, maybe I'll want to go see it if it's good. But he's not going to be that guy. He's not going to be the guy. Well, in Galactus now, 1920, in issue 3, it's like he's not that guy. He's a regular fan. He's a regular fan of this stuff. So if he is commenting on this and seeing this, you fucked up bad. You have fucked up bad when Tyrone Magnus is doing a video on this, because he's a more mainstream normal fan. And they're not going to dive into the deep weeds. That's what you watch, Star Wars Theory for. Star Wars Theory is like, he's the guy you go for the deep weed shit when it comes to Star Wars. Stuff that no one else knows, but somehow he's been able to like excavate and find. Like, he found the mythical holocron that tells him all the secrets to the Star Wars universe. How he knows all the information he knows about Star Wars, I will never know. But my point is that it's so obvious and apparent at this point what they're doing. They're just outright saying it. And the effect is having such a noticeable ripple that people like Tyrone Magnus, with their huge massive channels are coming up and making content about this because it's so blatant, and nobody wants this.
That was like, what? Am I the only one that feels like he's starting to become like a side character in his Bo-Katan show? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Doesn't make any sense to me. If they want to move it toward, hey, it's gonna go from the Mandalorian to the Mandalorians, I think if written correctly, that could be a great show. But to move him out like they did, and to do that, to make it look like it's her show now, it's like, come on, man. This is what the fans have been talking about. It's been pissing them off in the first place. You give us 2 good seasons, and then you come over and do this?
HelloFresh has made my life so much easier.
It gives you all you need to make a really delicious meal right at home.
I love the fact that they always send me something different that I never would have made.
They just have the most amazing recipes delivered right to your door.
Wide variety, pre-portioned ingredients that help make sure you don't waste money on excess food.
Easy, affordable, really, really good and flavorful.
Tastes so good. Oh my God.
Use code YT16 for 16 free meals and free shipping. Available for a limited time.
And I like her. But it's like, what are y'all doing? It's like the Knight Rider and Kit, and all of a sudden in the 3rd season, a Knight Rider, it's Bonnie. Wait, Bonnie's the Knight Rider now? Wait, what? It's about her and Devin? Her and Devin in the semi? And you got, like, what the hell is going on? Anyway, The Mandalorian, as a show about Din Djarin and Grogu, though fans have begun asking if this is still the case. Explores more of the Mandalorians as a people instead of just a person. Executive producer Rick Famuyiwa I don't know, has addressed those questions in an interview with IGN. And yes, the fans are right to question it. Turns out, the titular Mandalorian is no longer considered to be just Din. I think that's been interesting as we've been on the journey of the show, and now that we're at this point, is that what does that title mean? He said. I think now with Bo possessing the dark saber, I know that there was a lot of expectations that might have shifted, both in terms of what it meant for Din Djarin, but also for Bo. And what does it mean, he continued. Who is the Mandalorian at this point? And so I think it could be anyone. Sounds like how they were talking at the end of, what was it? I don't know which one it was. But the last, the sequel trilogy for Star Wars, where it was like, it's not just a Skywalker thing. Anybody could be powerful in the Force. It's no longer about the Skywalkers. Anybody can be special.
Except for Finn. The one person that we wanted to see before Sensitive. The one person that we wanted to see be the main character. Except for him. He can't be special because Kathleen Kennedy thought, no, we can't have a black man as the lead. We need a young white woman.
So now it could be anyone. The Mandalorian could be anyone now, huh? Anyone just put the helmet on, huh?
Yeah. Lizzo.
And I think that...
Lizzo. Put a helmet on. Can you imagine? God, that's a lot of Beskar. Goddamn, that is a lot of Beskar. Imagine how many little plates it would take to cover that fat ass. Jesus Christ.
That's what they're trying to define in many ways. Is what does that mean to be Mandalorian? As mentioned...
No. It's not called Mandalorians. It's not called Mandalorians. It is called The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is Djarin. It is not Bo-Katan. It is not Mandalorians plural. It is the Mandalorian. Apparently, Kathleen Kennedy and the other, stunted fools who work at Lucasfilm don't understand that. Because it's her story now.
Alright, I'm not trying to pronounce his last name anymore. The last episode of The Mandalorian saw Din step to one side and literally pass the mantle to Bo-Katan as she took the dark saber and stood ready to...
This is a perfect metaphor for women today. The man does all the work. He's the one that defeats Moff Gideon. Well, with Luke Skywalker. But he defeats Moff Gideon. He gets the Darksaber. He does all the work. And an entitled woman comes along and says, sure, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. Not, hey, no, you did all the work, Din Djarin. You should be the leader of Mandalore. No, she just comes and says, yeah, I'll take it. Even though she's been the leader of Mandalore and fucked up and failed countless times, even though she's unworthy. She's unworthy. She hasn't done anything to justify this. She wasn't the one that defeated Moff Gideon. She wasn't the one that reclaimed the Darksaber. That was him. But to modern women in these roles, well, the men... they're just there to... you have these... let me just reiterate. You've got these fat, ugly, 1 out of 10 women that are like, I'm a queen, I'm a boss, babe. I can do what I want. I'm nasty, both inside and out. It's like, bitch, know your fucking role. Know your score. No one wants you. No one wants fucking Lizzo in anything. The word fucking and Lizzo, no, very far apart. No close together. Mucho mistake. But she doesn't deserve this, and that's the problem. A bunch of worthless women written into a show to be powerful can't complete the task. It's up to a man to give her everything, and then to sit back and watch her be powerful. That's exactly what Bob Iger did. He gave her the Dark Blade to the Star Wars series, and she ruled over it and fucked it right into the ground. So my position on this, and I know that some people take an issue, is that women should not be in leadership roles, as we see by Bo-Katan herself, as we see by pretty much every woman in entertainment. If you really think about it, what does it mean to be a leader? What does it mean to be in charge? Well, Kathleen Kennedy, would you call her a leader? Would you say that she's good at what she does? She's in charge, but she okays things like this that are just poison for what little good you had left.
To unite the Mandalorian people, anime fist clench. I well, look, you already know you're irritating the fans yet again. The ratings are crashing. People were seriously pissed off at the last episode. You know, when I was on the Drinkers live stream and we were all talking about stuff, you know, I said,
Did you talk about how he stole my catchphrase and my thumbnail?
you know, who is responsible for this stuff? You get what I'm saying? Well, speaking to geeks and gamers, because he understands, he watches wrestling, he understands where I was coming.
Get cable-free live TV with no hidden fees or
The amount of
long-term
commercials
contracts
is absolutely
and 100 plus
ridiculous.
From. I made the point to say, listen, you have a ton of people on the creative team. Say you have 10, 15 people on the creative team for WWE. No matter what the idea is, the greatest ideas of all time, they all still must pass through Vince. He always has the last say. Always. So, is Lucasfilm run like that? Is there one person that everything goes through, with the decision goes through them? Hey, we want to do this, we want to do that, and they're the one that says yay or nay? Or is it a bunch of cooks in the kitchen? Maybe it's only a couple of cooks in the kitchen. Maybe it's 3 cooks. Maybe it's 2 cooks. Maybe it's 5. Maybe it's 15. I want to know who is responsible for everything we've been going through as a whole.
Okay. So I'm going to answer this because there is an answer. The answer is Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah. So, Jon Favreau has made it public that he had a lot of ideas for The Mandalorian. Dave Filoni has had a lot of ideas for characters like Ahsoka. But Kathleen Kennedy comes in and fucks it all up. I am told that Dave Filoni, or not Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, was upset because it was Kathleen Kennedy's idea to reunite Din Djarin and Grogu in the Book of Boba Fett. That's a huge, huge failure. A huge mistake. And so, Jon Favreau has made it clear that he is irritated and frustrated with Kathleen Kennedy because she wants to inject herself into the creative process despite being an absolute insufferably incompetent moron.
As fans of Star Wars, I want to know. It's driving me Joker mad. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even angry no more. I'm just like, That's it. That's it, man. You know, I just, you know what I'm saying? Drove me mad as a hatter. So, I'm just trying to figure it out. You know, his name escapes me right now. Why does his name escape me? Director of Iron Man. Why is his... I'll get him cheeseburgers. And talking to not Filoni, talking to Tony's daughter. Why can't I think of his name right now? You know, a lot of us were
Jon
talking...
Favreau.
A lot of you were actually talking like he was like, yo, he's the savior, yo. He did Mandalorian, he did it right. Second season was good too. Yo, if they just put him in charge, you know, he's doing his thing. They just keep letting him do it. So, Is he making these decisions to do this?
No.
Because, people sign on contractually sometimes, for stuff. And, and it's specified in the contract who says what a lot of times, who gets to say. And sometimes it's like, after you sign on for several amount of years, you got to make those press tours and smile.
Tyrone, let me put it in the same terminology that you used. So, you've got... You've got Kathleen Kennedy, who... Well, it's not a perfect analogy, because Bob Iger is, of course, the CEO of Disney. But for the sake of this, say that Kathleen Kennedy is Vince McMahon. And Jon Favreau is Triple H. So, Jon Favreau does have, creative leeway. But imagine that there's a Vince McMahon above Vince McMahon. So, top Vince McMahon, basically gives some leeway to Triple H, but he still has to clear everything with regional manager Vince McMahon. And regional manager Vince McMahon is getting involved, making changes, altering things, injecting themselves, because Kathleen Kennedy is a raging narcissistic bitch. And she wants everything to be about her and what she does. She wants to be the next George Lucas. What she wants is people to look at her and say, yeah, that's the woman that created the new generation of Star Wars. But it's not working out very well because she's not very creative. She's not very talented. She's not very intelligent. She's an old, bitter feminist. And that has been absolute poison for a franchise that was and is and should be for boys and men, not women. Not to say that some women don't like Star Wars, but I think we can all agree that the predominant fan base of Star Wars is young men.
Yeah, what I think is what we're going to do here is we're going to take it from the Mandalorian that we've grown to love, Djarin, and we're going to bring in other Mandalorians who people already like. We've been introduced to becoming familiar, and maybe the mantle of the Mandalorian will just be passed from family member to family member, being the Mandalorian. And we'll get to see what it's like to be a Mandalorian behind a different helmet, And you got to say it, even though that ain't even what you wanted. But you signed on for the press tours. It gets political in business. You got to sit there and smile. So even when they say stuff on their Twitters and in interviews, it makes me wonder, who's really behind the garbage decisions and who's not? Yeah, I guess it could be a lot of things. If you pay someone enough, maybe they're just willing to go along with the machine. And, they got bills to pay. They got a legacy they're investing in. They want to take care of their family for generations to come. And they're just like, you know what?
A lot of people don't know this,
God,
but if you have the
ads?
YouTube app on your phone, you could be using it to...
I don't mind pushing a few bad movies or TV shows and kind of dealing with the hatred that comes with it. It's all worth it later on because my family's taken care of. Sometimes I think that's what it is. I'm always thinking in different directions with this stuff, man. Or it could be just as bad as what some people think. In other words, everybody involved is in the wrong and making dumb decisions.
No. So, Tyrone, as an actor, you understand that the culture in Hollywood is extremely left-wing. And one of the things that is very, very important amongst left-wing people is compliance. So, yes, there will be some conservatives in Hollywood, but they're not going to speak up. They're going to do so privately, because if they do speak up, they're not going to get jobs, they're not going to get roles, they're going to get blacklisted. And this has been repeated by nearly every conservative commentator. So, when a left-wing moron, bimbo, feminist piece of shit like Kathleen Kennedy comes out and says, we're going to make this change and this change and this change, people don't really fight it. Except for people in the position of like Jon Favreau. Because he can. Because he is powerful enough to weather any storm that comes along because of how much money he's generated with the Marvel movies. But your average person in Hollywood, they're not going to say anything. John Boyega didn't say much until after he left. Because, and I don't blame him for this, he wanted to get paid. When they were fucking over Finn in the second movie and the third movie, he could have said no. He could have said, you know what? You guys are screwing over this character. I'm not coming back. But he did. He came back. Didn't say a fucking word. Didn't say a goddamn word. Didn't fight for the role. I mean, he may have said something. Didn't, make a stink on social media. And, didn't really fight. He just took his money, and then afterwards, he told his story. He's like, you know what? They treated me like shit. On the Chinese poster, when they shrunk him, God, that was... Let me see. Chinese... You remember this? Oh, come on. No. Do you remember this? This one. The fuck's he in?
The new Star Wars film, The Force Awakens, won't open in Chinese movie theaters like this one until January 9th. But the film is already being marketed here in a big way. Disney even placed 500 Stormtrooper figurines onto the Great Wall of China to promote the movie trailer's premiere. But not all the attention has been positive. Some Star Wars fans were quick to point out some differences between the US version and Chinese version of the official movie poster. In the US version, on the left, black actor John Boyega, who plays a character called Finn, is a featured presence. On the Chinese side, on the right, he is shrunken down towards the bottom of the poster and replaced by TIE fighters. Meanwhile, other characters appear larger. Harrison Ford, for example, who plays Han Solo, is a bit bigger. Ford's films have appeared in mainland China before. By shrinking down Boyega's picture and enlarging others, some fans on Western social media implied there was racism involved. A Disney representative would not comment to CNN, but Chinese state media said that any claims that Chinese audiences were somehow racist are simply untrue. So we showed the Chinese version of the poster to some people on the street here in Beijing.
I think it would be fair to say that Chinese people can be insensitive about race issues.
It's nonsense to relate the poster to racism. I don't think it matters.
I don't think it will spark widespread discussion here because people don't pay much attention to race issues here.
It's worth noting that Western movies released here in China regularly have different movie posters. Take The Amazing Spider-Man 2, for example, the US version on the left and the Chinese version.
You like that, how they try to downplay that at the end? Oh, no, it's not racist. No, of course not. Of course not. Harrison Ford's bigger. All the other characters bigger, but John Boyega, he's down in the corner. My point in showing that, my point in showing that is really that, first of all, Disney is fucking racist and filled with racists, and so when they call other people racist, when they call other people misogynistic, it rings hollow because they're all full of shit. But John Boyega could have quit after that. He could have left. But no, he didn't. He went back for the second movie. He went back for the third movie. That's my point. That happened in the first movie. He could have said no. He could have left. But he got paid. And then complained afterwards. So, whether you want to say that's the right or the wrong thing to do, it's just pretty obvious that people in Hollywood will go along with something even if they don't like it or agree with it because it's their job and they have to. Or they think that they have to.
That could be true. But part of me feels like they all can't be on board.
Yeah,
with these
they can.
decisions. They all can't be.
They can't.
Like I said, I've done small projects and movies, and there's decisions that directors made or the creators made with certain things in the script or, shots where I didn't want that, but it's what they wanted. And I went along with it because it's what they wanted.
That's exactly what I'm saying. The same thing with John Boyega, same thing with Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill did not like their direction for Luke Skywalker. He hated it, but he did it. He did it, in the first movie. He's like, oh, sure, I'm not even in this movie. I'm just, a token, cameo thrown at the end. He read the script for the second movie. He read the script for the third movie. And he said yes. He said yes. So he agreed. He complains behind the scenes. This left-wing culture, it prioritizes conformity. So Mark Hamill can go out there and say stuff behind the scenes, but he's not going to say something when it actually matters. John Boyega isn't going to say something when it actually matters. Tyrone, didn't say something when it actually mattered. It tells you that it doesn't matter how good a person is or how intelligent or insightful a person is, because I think Tyrone is a pretty smart guy. He has his wits about him. He can see what's going on. If somebody like Tyrone, with the audience he has, isn't speaking up, there's a lot of people that just don't. So they see the bad decisions and they're like, yeah, I wouldn't do this.
You know what I'm saying? It's okay. Well, they're in control, not me. Yeah. That's all I'm doing to do a job. I thought this shot would have been better or whatever. Yeah, I thought I said it better in this take, but they used a different take. You know what I mean? Like, that happens. But as small as those little things are in the small projects I've been in, there's bigger decisions that are just like that. And I think that's why Henry Cavill left The Witcher. The same type of stuff. He was dealing with big decisions with the script.
Not to go on a tangential thing, but Eric July, why the hell have you not been in contact with Tyrone to be part of the ESOM universe? To make this man a comic book character? Dude, I bet his reaction to becoming a comic book character will be a lot like Henry Cavill's. He'd probably be over the fucking moon. Make this man a comic book hero for the love of God. Just do it.
Big story beats that he just couldn't deal with. And he's a fan of the Witcher books. So it's like, he had to go. Got what I'm saying? So how much money or what type of contract makes you stay or leave? See what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying, how things get convoluted. And a lot of times you can't even run your mouth about companies you work with because that's in the contract. You can't talk trash. You know what I mean? So, whatever. Anyway, my mind's just spinning and working right now. I hope that your decisions are correct for this season. Because right now it's showing us now.
They're not.
I'm a fan. I love the Mandalorian series, but post comment down below. Let me know what you all think. You enjoyed my thoughts on this. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Do you enjoy these rants I go on? Think you do. 10 million subscribers. Woo. That rhymed, I think, but
yeah, that was a great video. Yeah, he's got a good point. There are a lot of people that just stay quiet. If this if this had happened to me or one of you, I'm pretty sure you'd be pissed and you'd be like, what the fuck? But if it were me, I'm in a different position. I'd tell them to go shove it right up their fucking asses. I'm not even saying that to be I'm not even saying that to be like, oh, I'm such a tough guy. No, my tolerance for Hollywood bullshittery is next to zero. I have no tolerance for these people. Let's see. All right. Well, we are at 11 followers. I need 9 of you to go over. Follow me on Rumble. As I mentioned before, you know the mission. You want to be part of the mission and building up this platform. So, not only will this platform, when we build it up, be advantageous for Rumble, because they'll be like, oh, look at, you know, here's another large channel, so that more people will come to Rumble. But also for me personally, and for the channel, and for all of you, you'll get more content, because I'll make Rumble exclusive stuff. Because, well, I mean, I like Rumble better than YouTube, because YouTube banned Steven Crowder. That was woo, boy, did that make me upset. That was irritating. And you see my videos, they upload after YouTube directly to Rumble. I have all my videos up here. That you see, my viewership is not what it is on YouTube. You know? You know, it's like, yeah, the viewership isn't there. But with your help, we'll get there. We'll get there, and we will start building this up. And I'll tell you what, when this is built up, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Having another alternative so that you can stick the middle finger to YouTube, baby, that is just, that is the dream. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for getting your ass to Rumble. Critical Drinker, I forgive you for stealing my, not my thumbnail. I forgive you. I've made that joke too much that people are going to think that I'm serious. No, this was just a thumbnail that I found. It tickles me that we think alike. Because when I thought of this, before the Critical Drinker, by the way, mine came out a day first, although mine was seen by significantly less people. It tickles me silly. It actually really makes me happy that we use the same joke, the same picture. That's just really fucking funny to me. Yeah, that's fantastic. Somehow Palpatine has returned. Oh man. Anyway, have a great day, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you next time.